Hello and welcome back to the Simple Joy Show. Today I'm going to flip the script on decluttering. I often talk about what to do, but it's equally important to discuss what not to do. So whether you're a seasoned declutterer or you're just starting out, I'm going to go through how you can avoid those common pitfalls and make your decluttering journey as smooth and effective as possible. This is the Simple Joy Show, the podcast for people who are ready to declutter and simplify their homes and lives to create more space, time, energy and freedom. I am your host, Hayley Forster, mother, wife and declutter coach, and I'm going to be sharing with you simple bite-sized nuggets to help you on your journey to living a simpler life through the power of decluttering. So if you're ready to choose calm over chaos, then let's dive into today's show. Hello everybody, how are you all? I hope you are good. We're in the middle of a busy week here in the Forster household. My eldest daughter is part of a dance academy and it's their big show this weekend. So they go to a theatre in a local town and they do 3 big shows over the weekend. So I've got 1 on Saturday and 2 on Sunday, and my family come and visit and they watch the show over the weekend, and it's just so lovely to see because she does so many dance classes. She does like maybe 6 hours a week of dance, and she does ballet, jazz, commercial, lots of different types of dancing, so we get to see her perform in each one of those styles, which is really lovely, and we get to see how she's progressed each year. And it's such a lovely show, just watching all the kids perform and really get into it, and it's just a really lovely weekend. It's probably one of my favourite weekends of the year, but it is very busy because we've got not only family visiting but then also our chaperone as well backstage. So there's lots of activity. There's a stage rehearsal as well as a show on the Saturday as well. So it's very busy, lots of chaos, but I do love it, and I just love spending time with my eldest backstage and seeing her getting really excited and then watching her perform. And 9 times out of 10, actually, who am I kidding? It's 10 times out of 10, I will always cry. No matter what the dance is, I will always cry. Usually it's ballet, but sometimes when she's just doing some kind of show tune, I'll start bursting into tears as well. But yeah, just so proud of her, and I love watching it, and I'm really looking forward to it this weekend. So this week's been all about prepping for that, getting the costumes ready and getting the suitcase packed and everything like that. So yeah, it's going to be a lovely weekend this weekend. So I hope you've got some lovely plans this weekend as well. So as I mentioned in the intro, I'm going to talk about things which you shouldn't do when you're decluttering. Decluttering can be an emotional and physical whirlwind, and it's so easy to get caught up in the moment and make decisions that you might regret later. And I think that's a big worry for a lot of people. So I think this episode should really help you think about how to approach it. And I just want to discuss the big no-nos in decluttering and how you can try to avoid those. So the first one is don't buy storage containers right away. And this is the one that I was really guilty of, because the urge to buy a bunch of storage containers is massive. I know they look really promising, they give you hope, and it's showing you that you're going to be really organised, but you must declutter first, then assess what storage you're really going to need, and that way you avoid the trap of just rearranging your clutter into nicer boxes basically. And it's such a common thing to do. You're motivated to organise, so you pop out of the shop and you buy all these lovely fancy pretty containers, but you are putting the cart before the horse. And as an example of this, when I was organising my kitchen, I went out and bought lots of lovely kitchen and fridge organisers, and I was so excited about getting my kitchen organised. But actually, after decluttering, I realised I only needed a fraction of the containers that I bought. So actually, the rest that I had were just adding to clutter, and I wasted my money as well. So you must declutter first, then assess what, if anything, you truly need. The next one is to avoid the maybe pile, and it's really tempting to create a maybe pile, and I'd done it when I first started out, and I know a lot of clients do tend to sneakily have a little maybe pile, even when I say try to avoid one, because it's just that little bit of reassurance and that security for you. But actually it often leads to indecision and then some clutter relapse as well. So be decisive. Ask yourself if the item serves a purpose or it brings you joy. And if it's neither, it's time for you to let that go. And it is a trap. I have got a client who ended up with a massive maybe pile when he was clearing out his garage, but actually a week later he ended up just putting it back in the garage because he didn't know what to do with it. So the maybe pile just delays your decisions. You need to be bold, you need to be decisive. So if it doesn't have a clear purpose, just let it go. Another is don't declutter other people's things without consent, and I mentioned this in the last episode. It is a big one. You just want to respect the belongings of others in your household. Decluttering someone else's stuff without their permission can breach their trust. So you want to encourage them to join in, but you want them to make their own choices. It's really crucial that they do that. And I had a lady on social media actually contact me about this when I was discussing it, and she said that she started decluttering a lot of her husband's old magazines that were just lying around and she didn't tell him. And actually that ended up in a big argument, and that was just a prime example of what that can lead to. It can lead to some tension, it can lead to some trust issues. So just always get consent. Decluttering is personal. There's a reason why people tend to keep things and you're not necessarily privy to that. So just encourage them, but I wouldn't enforce anything without their consent. Next is don't try to do it all at once. It's not a race. Trying to tackle everything in one go is ultimately going to lead to burnout and frustration. So you want to break it down into manageable chunks. Maybe start with one room or even just one drawer. I've said that before. Don't focus on it as a full room project. Break it down into smaller bits and just gradually work your way through the space. The amount of people that I've had discussions with about them starting decluttering and saying I'm going to dive into it this weekend and I'm going to get stuck into it, and then I speak to them the next week and they're like, oh, I got a bit overwhelmed and I just managed to do a couple of cupboards. And that's usually what happens, because you build it up so much in your head about it being a massive project, and then when you come to do it you just feel overwhelmed and then you give up. So break it down. Start small, one drawer, one shelf. It's a journey, not a sprint, and just break it up over time. One of the biggest ones I see when I speak to clients is guilt. And you want to try and avoid holding on to anything because of that guilt. Guilt can be a really powerful emotion, especially when it involves gifts or perhaps inherited items as well. You've just got to remember it's okay to let go of things that don't add value to your life. At the end of the day, your well-being and your calmness of space matter more than keeping something out of obligation. Guilt can make us hold on to things we don't need, and you've got to remember it's okay to just release things that don't serve your current life. And I've got a full episode on guilt from previous episodes, and I can link that in the show notes. And the last one, which is the one that I think nearly everyone forgets, is don't forget to reflect on your shopping habits. Because decluttering isn't just about getting rid of things, it's about curbing the influx of new items. I mean, I'm terrible with sayings, but there's that saying about you can't empty your bath without turning off the tap. So you need to be mindful of your shopping habits. Think about whether the new purchases that you're making are going to add to your life, or are they just going to become future clutter. One of the ladies that I've just finished working with said that she really noticed that post decluttering her house, she was shopping much more mindfully. She was avoiding those impulse buys because she knew down the line ultimately that would become clutter and she would just have to process it and get rid of it in the future. So it's all about creating that sustainable cycle, being really aware about what you're bringing into your home and making sure that what you are bringing in is going to be of use to you or brings you some form of joy. And you've got a massive bonus there as well of not spending as much money, which is always a nice thing. But as I always say, decluttering is more than just tidying up. It's about creating a space that reflects and supports your life. So by avoiding these common pitfalls that I've mentioned, you can make your decluttering journey a really transformative experience, which is what I want for everyone listening. As always, I'd love to hear about your decluttering journey. If you've got any pitfalls that you've encountered, please let me know. Let me know how you've overcame them, and share your stories using #SimpleJoyShow so I can check them out, or come into my Facebook group, The Simple Living Society, as well, and share it with my community. But for more insights into making the most of your decluttering journey, join me next week on The Simple Joy Show. But until then, remember, in simplicity we find joy. Goodbye. Thank you so much for listening. If you've enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the Simple Joy Show further, then please share it with others, post about it on social media, or leave a rating and review. To catch all the latest from me, you can follow me on Instagram @HelloSimpleJoy. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.